everyone, and welcome to Author's Excerpt Sunday podcast. Today, we have a special guest. His name is Steve Selengut. Selengut? That's how you
So
spell
that's good. Yeah,
it? Selengut. All
that works.
right. And he is the author of a new book coming out. It is called Retirement Money Secrets. Retirement Money Secrets. And this is something that's so important to anyone of any age about how to, handle your money. He is a professional investment manager and advisor, and who is currently adventure and coaching both individuals and advisors, other advisors, in creating income independence for themselves and their clients. Hello, Mr. Steve, and how are you doing today?
I'm good, Sharice.
All right, all right, all right. So, um, Mr. Steve, you gonna tell us, your background, how did you get started, and things of that nature.
Okay, I how far should I go back? Um, I I come from the Northeast.
Hmm.
I was born in Manhattan and lived in New Jersey most of my life.
Okay.
I was very fortunate. Uh, I had chosen my parents pretty well, you might say, and
Hmm.
my father was a real estate developer at a time that it was good to be a real estate developer on
Okay.
a lake in North Jersey,
Hmm.
only 45 minutes from Manhattan.
Okay.
So he had a good business going, and as most kids did in those days, we used to have odd jobs in the summers after school. We'd mow lawns and
Hmm.
do other things like that. And he always encouraged me to put at least 25% of what I made away,
Hmm.
and he took it and he put it into various investments and so forth. But I had no idea what he was doing with it.
Okay.
And make a long story short, his focus in his business
Hmm.
was income production.
Okay.
He had what we'd call in economics a vertically integrated business where
Hmm.
he owned the land. He had an interest in a lumber yard to give the supplies to build a home. He
Yes.
owned the homes and he'd rent some, sell some, and so on. But
Oh.
he'd take back the mortgages, so he had that income coming in. He'd insure the buildings and anything else they wanted to insure, so he'd have that source of income coming in.
Okay.
And for the ones he rented, he had that source of income. So
Okay.
he said to me, Steve, no matter what you do, make sure the income is adequate. And when you start investing, make sure when you invest in something, there's always some income coming back to you. Doesn't matter about the prices and
Hmm.
things like that.
Hmm.
A house can go down in price, doesn't mean it's a bad house. Just means the market is lower. It's
Oh.
not a big deal. If it goes up, it's not a big deal unless you sell it to take the profit. But in the meantime, you want that rental money coming in every month.
Yeah.
That type of thing. You want the
Hmm.
insurance money, you
Yeah.
know. So he taught me to focus on income, and I applied that
Hmm.
um, as soon as I got started in investing, and that happened when I was 25.
Hmm.
In 1974, at my birthday dinner for being 25
Hmm.
and actually newly married,
Hmm.
um, an envelope was turned. Old, those old Manila envelopes.
Hmm.
This one was pretty thick,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he opened it up and he fell out on the table in front of me was a
Hmm.
whole slew of things most people aren't familiar with, and they were stock certificates.
Uh-huh.
In the old days, when
Yeah.
you bought shares of stock,
Hmm.
you 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 could have the company send you a certificate
Hmm.
that proved that you own shares in that company.
Yes.
So that's what I got, all these shares. And
Yeah.
at age 25, he said, now they're your problem.
Okay.
but they weren't a problem because
Oh,
they were all high quality companies. They all paid dividends. Names like IBM and General Electric and
mhm,
Sears Roebuck. Actually, at that time, it's not such a
yeah.
great deal now, of course, but
Mhm,
things like that. And I started looking at the dividends that they would spend and everything like that. And I studied the way the markets moved, not only the market as a whole, but each of these individual securities. The ones that were in the oil company would, in the oil industry, would have a kind of a different time when they'd be going up or down than the ones that were in technology or the ones that were in retail. So they all had their own sector cycles or natures.
mhm,
So I also saw that a company like IBM would go up and down, up and down, up and down. You say, what's going on here? They're going
mhm,
up. And down. So I figured it out pretty much that if my IBM goes up to this level,
yeah.
I'm going to sell it. I'm going to take that profit and I'm going to buy something else or and see do the same thing. And of course, I had a broker, um, a young woman named Rita Akers at the
Mhm,
time, who was working with me to help me develop this system, so to speak, of
yeah.
how I was going to make money in the stock market in addition to
Mhm.
the dividends that they were paying me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So long story short, by the time in 1979,
Mhm.
in 1979, I
Yes.
was making more money in trading these great companies and
Mhm,
collecting their dividends. I was
mhm.
making about 5 times more money than I was making in my job where I was commuting to New York City. So at that point, I said, I'm going to see if I can do this for other people.
Mhm.
And I got myself licensed and I left that company.
Oh,
As
okay.
soon as I had, I did all I did all the nuts and bolts to get a corporation going and
Yeah.
to line up my first two clients, and then I quit.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
I was doing that ever since until last May when I sold the business for what they call an offer you can't refuse,
Okay. Uh-huh.
something like that.
Yeah.
At the time I was managing, you know, over $100 million for 150 different people and families throughout the country.
Okay. All right.
So that's the story. And in the book that I just released, it's been
Yes.
out a few months now, Retirement Money Secrets.
Mhm.
I tell the story of how you can go about changing your focus from chasing market value and worrying about the market's ups and downs and things like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
If you focus on the income being produced by your securities,
Mhm.
you'll be able to grow your portfolio better and make it much more useful to you
Yes.
if it's producing a lot of income, like it did for me, 5 times my salary
Okay.
in
All right.
9 years.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You
So
know.
that's my story.
Yes. Oh, it sounds like that's a one. It is it's wonderful when our parents can teach us some things of value. When they learn something and they pass it down to us through the generations. So, have you passed on your knowledge to your children?
I've tried.
Okay.
Children have a way maybe of you know yeah. So what? You put me through college. I went to boarding school. Da da da.
Mm-hmm.
But they may or may not have an interest in learning how you did that. My granddaughter, in a
Uh-huh.
conversation just this past weekend, she
Yeah.
said, "I don't know what I'm going to do." So I said, "Well, I said I could set you up in a good job that you'd eventually make a lot of money in and
Mm-hmm.
meet a lot of people."
Yeah.
So at least she looked at me like, maybe,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that'll happen. But
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily go. But passing it on to other people, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, I've got thousands of people in Facebook groups that are doing my thing, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
From before the book was released and
Okay.
subsequent to it, they've been operating the system like I describe it in the
Yes.
book, and with excellent success. I mean,
Mhm.
some of them are making more money this year than I have, so
Okay.
that's
All right.
pretty good.
Yes.
And generally speaking, there in investing, there's really two sources, two primary sources of income.
Mm-hmm.
Most people look at market value and don't look at income at all. But
Yes.
everybody knows that there are some securities that either pay you dividends or interest if they're bonds and things like that.
Yes.
But what few people realize is there's an equally important stream of income
Hmm.
that is available through profit taking
Okay.
by capitalizing those gains. I mean, if you
Hmm.
just think about the last 2 years, I mean, the
Yeah.
market was down in 22 after
Hmm.
being up all the way in 21.
Hmm.
And then it went down quickly, and most people didn't take their profits or anything. They said,
Okay.
"Oh, gee, oh, it's gone." And then it came all the way back up until just the other day when it started to go down again.
Okay.
So here we are, 2.5, 2 years and 3 months beyond the
Hmm.
January rally, and the markets in general are up a measly 2.5%.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And most people haven't taken their profits. But if you had taken your profits
Hmm.
and you were in an income productive environment,
Hmm.
your portfolios were gaining 9 and 10% or more
Oh.
during that same period of time each year.
Hmm.
So that's what I try to teach. Don't focus on the market value. It doesn't matter.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't produce income unless you take the profits.
Okay. All right.
And so that's the message. That's a couple of the secrets. There's,
Okay.
I'm not telling you all of the secrets today.
Okay. You got to get the book for that, right?
You have to buy the book
Okay.
for that. And
So,
for and for a $20 paperback, I can
hmm,
almost say without hesitation that
hmm,
anyone who reads it is
hmm,
going to gain a lot more than $20 in value
yeah,
from it.
yeah, yeah. So, what geared you towards writing this book?
Well, I've always felt that my clients deserve to know what I was thinking about what was going on in the marketplace, and
Yeah.
over those 40 odd
Yeah.
years or more that I was in business,
Hmm.
we had the crash of '87, we had the dot-com bubble, they
Yeah.
called it,
Uh-huh.
in 2000, we had the Great Recession,
Uh-huh.
we had the COVID fiasco back in
Yeah.
March.
Yeah.
Um, so I wrote them pretty much at least once a quarter, where I'd send everybody a letter
Hmm.
saying what I thought was going on. I have one on
Yeah.
my screen right over here. You can't see it, but it
Hmm.
says the markets, year end 2021 till now. I'm
Yes.
writing that right now.
Hmm.
And I'm going to send that to all my old clients that I
Okay.
still communicate with, and
Oh.
all the people in my Facebook groups, and
Hmm.
people who I know have read the book and so on. So I'm telling them what I think about what's going on now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was on a vacation. My wife and I were on a trip to Alaska on one of those
Hmm.
boats that goes up the side of the continent up there.
Yes.
And I brought a whole volume of these articles I had written with me, and I wrote my first book.
Oh, okay, okay. So you
While I was
compiled
on vacation,
you compiled
yeah,
all that on vacation, right?
yeah, right. I got a lot of dirty looks. Let me tell you.
You're like, well, what is you doing, man? You're supposed to be on
Yeah,
vacation. You're not supposed to be doing any
exactly.
work, and
I just
you,
took like an hour. I got up an hour early. I went to bed an
yeah,
hour later, and
yeah,
it was pretty easy to coordinate it
yes,
and that was my first attempt. And
uh,
then I wrote a second book
okay,
about 10 years ago,
uh,
and that was called "The Brainwashing of the American Investor,"
okay, all right,
and and that was more about the politics of investing and why things are done the way they are. But it
mm,
also gave the way I used to manage my stock market investments as well.
okay,
Um, that one people can get free if they go to my website now.
oh, okay,
All
okay,
they got to do is ask.
okay,
And then this latest one that was released in November,
mm,
that was published
yes,
first started in November,
yes,
is really focused on income investing and how you can set yourself up.
mm-hmm,
The expression the fire early movement.
yeah, yes,
Financial independence, retire
mm,
early.
mm, yeah,
It's how to do that.
mm,
It's really tells you this is how you can do that,
yes,
and
okay,
so that's really what this one is all about.
okay. Okay. So my thing is, what goal? What goal do you see yourself setting for yourself with this book?
I just want to get as many people as I can
Hmm.
to understand this. I mean,
Yeah.
most people, a lot of retired people, I do a coaching business now, so people come to me and I see what they have in their portfolios,
Hmm.
and I got to tell you, I've looked at 60 or 70 portfolios, 60 or 70 client
Yes. Yeah.
collections of portfolios
Yes.
since I've started this, and I haven't seen one
Hmm.
that makes as much as 4% in income, regardless of how many gazillion dollars it is.
Hmm.
It's still only making 2% or 1% or
Hmm.
3% at the most. And
Okay.
I tell them, well, you're gonna make, if you do this,
Yeah.
instead of making 3%, you're gonna make 9% or 10%.
Hmm.
And then if we have a good year and you make profits, it's going to be on top of that
Yeah.
because you're going to make that whether the market goes up or down.
Hmm.
That's going to be in your pocket.
Okay.
That's your spending money.
Okay.
And that's, that PDI or
Yeah.
personal disposable income.
And calm. Yes. Yes. I have heard of these terms, and I plan on acquiring your book because so many people, they work all their life, and they don't really have a retirement plan. Have you ever had clients like that before? That they don't they worked all. I mean, they worked, but they have nothing put aside for savings or no kind of
I've
disposable.
I've had, I've had friends and associates and people I've met
Hmm.
who are really kind of in the dark. But most of the people that came to me really did have some form of a nest egg or
Hmm.
were building one. I've had people who I've had a woman who won the New York lottery when lottery money was only like only I shouldn't say only when you say three
Uh-huh.
million when you say 3 million, the word only doesn't belong in the same sentence.
Okay.
But that's how much the lottery was paying at that time,
Yes. Yes.
and she was down. She hadn't really done anything with it productively and
Yeah.
came to me to help her. But I've also had people who are just starting out and starting
Hmm.
their IRA or they're rolling over a small 401k because they went on to another job.
Yeah.
And I've started them from scratch. But I have to say that most people who come to me
Hmm.
are already in the six-figure area
Okay.
or in retirement,
Hmm. Yeah.
they've already got it there and they're not making enough money to
Hmm.
keep them from dipping into it.
Okay.
And they can see the end of the line, I'm gonna run out of money.
Yeah. Right.
And then using what I teach them and what
Hmm.
I do, they
Hmm.
can make that nest egg grow while
Hmm.
they're spending all the money they need.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's the distinction. So I meet all kinds of
Hmm.
people, but I have to say that the book is for people who are just starting out, so they do it
Hmm.
right from the get go,
Yes.
and for people who are at or near retirement who
Hmm.
recognize that they could use a lot more income from their
Yes.
investments than they're getting now.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, right? So I heard you have a coaching class,
I
coaching
have
session. Okay.
coaching business where I do um, like if somebody comes to me and they have an established portfolio, six,
Hmm.
7 figures, and they want
Hmm.
guidance on how to get it to
Yeah.
where I am with the
Yes.
income,
Yes.
I can coach them 1, 2, 3 sessions depending,
Uh-huh.
and we get them to where they're going, then I set them free, like you
Hmm.
let a bird.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
you're on your own. You
Bye.
got this,
Yeah.
baby. You got this, baby. You can do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then I'll follow, and I'll keep them on my list, and I'll write to them and send them updates. And
Okay.
every now and then I'll just say, "Hey, you doing anything? You got any questions? And stuff like that." And then
Oh.
I can just, for other people, I just look at their portfolios
Okay.
and say, "Okay." We talk about the pillars of risk minimization because investing involves risk,
Yes.
and you can minimize that risk. These are some of the secrets here. You can minimize risk by making sure the quality of what you buy is of a certain level and diversifying properly
Hmm.
and insisting on income coming in and
Yes.
taking your profits when you've got them.
Okay.
Setting a reasonable target and saying, okay, I'm going to take that.
Okay.
And that really is like um, four legs on a stool. You
Okay.
know, if
Yes.
any one of those legs isn't there, you fall.
Hmm.
Okay, so you got to do all of those.
Yeah.
So I get the people so they've got all that, and then they
Hmm.
can start building the income. And
Oh,
so
okay.
that's I look at their portfolio and say, oh no, you got so much money in this one stock, it's going to
Yeah.
hurt you.
Yeah.
What if what what if what
Yeah.
if something happens to the president of that company?
Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
In my
Well,
first book, I used the illustration, and you may not. I don't know if you're familiar with some of the old golf people that were really really good, but there was this guy, a professional golfer named Payne Stewart, who died maybe 20 years ago.
hmm.
He was in a private plane, and the oxygen stopped, and he died in the plane, but the plane crashed into a mountain. So I used to say to people, "What if that were Bill Gates?" Just when Microsoft was making it to the top.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What if that was Bill Gates that flew into that mountain and died?
Yeah.
What would have happened to your Microsoft investment?
Right.
You know,
Hmm.
that type of, things happen.
Yeah.
Planes fly into office buildings.
Yeah. Mm. Right.
So, so
Yeah.
you gotta diversify properly, and you
Oh.
gotta have income coming in. So I
Okay.
look at portfolio. I say, I'll just look at your portfolio,
Hmm.
and I'll identify it. Is it quality? Is it properly diversified? Does
Hmm.
it generate adequate income?
Yeah.
They never generate enough income,
Okay.
and especially if they're professionally managed.
Okay. Okay.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Right.
But there's a reason for it. There's two reasons for it.
Hmm.
The one reason is that they don't take profits is because of our legal system.
Okay.
If you take profits for a client, say without their permission,
Hmm.
express permission,
Yeah.
and the stock continues to go up,
Yes.
they'll sue you and they might get away with it, because, oh, you should have known it was going to go up more. I could have made more money.
Okay.
So professional advisors are reluctant to take profits unless they get a phone call from the client saying, "Please take my profit." Okay.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
I never had that problem because I told them from the get go, "I'm taking your profits, pal, and I'll
Uh,
find something else and I'll take another profit."
hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and then the other thing is
Hmm.
that the way our financial system, professional financial system, is set up,
Yes.
brokers these days and professional advisors get
Hmm.
paid on the amount of assets that they manage.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Mm.
nothing in that about, oh, I get paid a lot because I make my clients a lot of spending money.
Uh-huh.
That's not
Yeah.
in the equation.
Uh-huh.
It has to be the market value growth.
Okay.
So they don't focus on income producing securities
Okay.
because they don't go up as much.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
particularly bonds and
Hmm.
preferred stocks and mortgages and funds that focus on income producing
Yeah.
securities. I
Yes.
mean, they don't go up as much. I mean, it's like just this recently, the market was going crazy up, but interest rates weren't going down.
Yeah.
So the income type securities were lower while the
Hmm.
stocks were going higher.
Oh,
So
okay.
they don't always go in the same direction, you see.
Hmm. Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So those
Mr. Steve, do you want to read an excerpt out of your book for us?
I've never done that.
Ooh, come on. It's always a first.
Um,
It's always a first.
you're really going to ask me to do that?
Yes.
Well,
Just read like a read. Just read like a maybe a chapter
a
or
whole
one
chapter.
page or
My
something. I
goodness.
mean, not one chapter, but one page.
Oh
A one
wow.
page of something out of the book.
What would I even suggest? Let's see. Okay. I anyway, this book is set up as a conversation.
Okay.
Between myself, my wife and I, and this couple, we meet
Mhm.
on a cruise.
Okay.
And so it's me talking to them about how we, my wife and I, how we earn enough income that it pays for our vacations from
Yeah.
our just from our investment portfolios,
Okay.
and how they had to sell securities to pay for their vacation, and how
Okay.
they can get from where they are to where
Hmm.
we are.
Yes.
I don't know. Okay. I got a section here where we're on the golf course.
Okay.
They came after we had the trip. I just opened this. I have no idea. I haven't reread this in months and months and months. So please,
Okay. Mhm.
this is interesting. I'm not sure I'm saying thank you or not yet. Okay,
Okay.
this is kind of fun.
Yes.
So they this couple lives in Richmond, and
Hmm.
they came down to South Carolina and to
Okay.
play some golf with me and talk
Hmm.
about their portfolios.
Okay.
So we go out and play golf while I'm talking about different principles.
Yes.
So this one and this, all right, this is number three.
Okay.
And I guess it's the number third print. Yeah, diverse. I talked about quality, and I talked about diversification, and now I'm on principle number three.
Okay.
And it says in big capital letters, is this how my audiobook's going to be when I get it published? Okay. And the name of this piece, which is number three, says focus on income production.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to read it. I don't remember exactly. Okay. So there's a refreshment stand at the midway point on the course. So we stopped after the ninth hole to grab some ice water and take a quick breather. Jean was clearly keeping track of the principles in her head.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm ready for idea number three, she said.
Okay.
You said it's a bit different from what we know. I said, it is, I said. You'll remember on the trip when I asked you about the yield you were seeing in your portfolio and you didn't really know?
Hmm.
And I told you I guessed it was probably less than 3%.
Hmm.
John perked up at this. He said, actually, I looked into what I looked into that when we got home, and you were right. Our securities don't generate much income at all.
Hmm.
This is where my system starts to look different from traditional investing, I told him. I
Hmm.
build portfolios so that every security, stock, or bond generates some form of dependable income. It's not focused on what the market value of the underlying securities is at any given point. There's more than one way for a portfolio to produce income. That's what we just talked about.
Hmm.
But the best way is to focus on base income.
Hmm.
That's the money that comes from dividends on equity securities and interest on fixed income securities.
Hmm.
My retirement portfolio has at least 60% in income purpose securities.
Okay.
That's what we old people need.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Quality and diversification are key elements, but income production pays the bills.
Hmm.
Got it, said Gene. You're halfway through the six basic principles I use, so give yourself a pat on the back, I said. Principle four is another one that takes a little bit of new learning. Let's play a couple holes and then we'll come back to this. The last two are easy, I promise.
Okay.
We rose, retrieved our wheelies. We were walking the golf course in wheeling. The golf clubs are on a wheeled device that we push,
Yes.
and headed toward the 10th tee. As we diversify into a variety of investments, our portfolio becomes like a department store.
Okay.
Um, whoops, where did that say? Okay. I said, it has securities representing the providers or producers of all manner of goods and services.
Okay.
Right? That's what companies are, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Exxon is an energy company. Walmart is a retail outlet.
Um,
That type of
yes.
stuff. And how do department stores grow and prosper? I asked the Cranes. Certainly not by watching merchandise sit on the shelves and grow in market value.
Mm-hmm.
They establish reasonable markups and take profits by selling their merchandise as soon as they can.
Mm-hmm.
That's their next principle, profit taking.
Okay.
All right, was that good?
Yes. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just hope my narrator does it just like
Okay.
that.
Right.
Literally I just hired a guy today.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Today I just signed a contract with Audible.
Okay. That'll
Audible
work.
is
Yes.
the
I've heard of
the
Audible
book thing
before.
through Amazon. They have
Yes.
a great deal, and I'm not pitching Amazon by any means,
Mm-hmm.
but if you have some authors,
Mm-hmm.
they will they don't charge you
Mm-hmm.
to do this. They introduce you to narrators,
Yes.
and you and the narrator can agree that
Mm-hmm.
you will split your portion
Yeah.
of the proceeds. So I have no expense other than my time
Mm-hmm.
in this. And not only that, but when you're working with someone else who also has an interest in the final dollars that are coming out of it, he's
Yeah.
every bit as motivated as you are.
Yeah.
So if you're an author, and I understand
Mm-hmm.
that audiobooks are at least as popular a way of doing things as ebooks, and certainly more so than the paperbacks and hard copies.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've sold 5 hard copies. I mean, I've sold almost 2,200 books, which is
Uh-huh.
pretty good for an
Yeah.
investment. But
Uh,
I don't think a dozen of them have been hard copies.
oh, okay.
I have
Well,
more electronic books, I think, than I do paper.
okay. Ebook sales.
Ebook sales are, I think,
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
higher than.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I like that
Sure.
because I think
Yeah.
with this book, if you were to read the ebook
Mm-hmm.
and you were really interested in doing this, you'd want to get yourself the paperback so that you could put tabs and markers and underlines and all that
Yeah.
kind.
All that good stuff in the book. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I'd ever done a reading. So
Oh.
I hope you're as excited about that as I am because I've never done that before.
Oh. Well, I ought to get you on an interview more
I
often.
mean,
'Cause-
I don't really like my own voice when I hear it, so
oh, you sound marvelous, honey. You
I
sound
I
marvelous.
yes, I
You
don't think
sound
anybody.
absolutely marvelous. I'm surprised you're not narrating your own book.
Well, I wouldn't do that. That I don't know. I'd rather let a professional do it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you have a good, nice, soothing voice. That's why I say that, because you have a nice voice, talking voice, a narrator's voice. You have that. And I just want to let you know that you
Oh,
sound
thank
marvelous. You sound marvelous reading your own
you.
writing,
Wow,
you
that's
know,
great.
and um with the what future programs, future book signings, any of those things are you plan on doing?
I don't plan on doing any book signings. I'm old. I'll be 79 next month.
Oh, could have
So
fooled
so
me.
well, I hope so. I hope. Anyway, I don't want to do that kind of traveling. I'd rather go to
Oh,
Japan, and I'd rather go to Japan on a cruise
okay.
ship to
Okay.
do that kind of travel. So I don't plan on doing any book signings.
Oh,
I do Q&A sessions,
okay.
and I do Zoom meetings, stuff
Oh,
like
okay.
that. Stuff
Oh,
like
okay.
that is fine.
Oh,
But
okay. Say,
but
say no
yeah,
book
and I
sign on the
yeah, and
roster.
it's odd to me
Hmm.
that Amazon, I don't think they do any that they don't provide that capability for electronic signing. You could have your books for sale,
Um, I know
and
a nice young lady that could possibly help you with that. I know a young lady. Her name is Desiree Lee, and she teaches authors how to. I think that's one of her things that she teaches how the authors can sign their books electronically. how you can sign it. I don't quote me on that. Just fine. I'll give you
Yeah.
her. I'll send you her information, and you can ask her yourself. But I just want
Okay.
and I wanna, I wish you all the best with your book. Um, uh, and because I'm really, I done got interested in it, with the information that you sent me about your book and stuff. And I wanna, I'm in the mood to learn more about money. Okay, because
Well,
who doesn't want to learn about money?
right, right.
As
Uh,
much as it changes hands, right? So, is there anything else you want to share with us, Mr. Steve?
well, the just that the book is in the normal places. Any place you go to buy books, it's available.
Okay.
And I
Barnes and
my web
Nobles and Amazon and Books a
any of the
Million and
sure, and
uh,
the ebook
yeah,
outlets.
yes.
And that I my website for coaching or looking at what you've done, or just if you want get your family together and a Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
My website is theincomecoach.net.
Okay. Incomecoach.net. Okay. All right. All right. I have all my luxurious notes here from
Okay.
our emails, and I like to hold on to information because I like to reread stuff. I'm an avid reader. I've been reading since I was a kid, and I have I don't know, I have my own book.
Oh,
I'm a,
good.
I'm an author of two books. Here's my Coming to Loving Yourself. This is my first. It's an autobiography, inspirational book, and then I have another book. It's a workbook that coincides with the first book. It's titled "Come Loving Yourself, Building Your Self Worth," and then I have another book coming out at the end
Wow.
of the month. This book is with my girlfriends. We've decided to put a anthology together. It's
Oh, cool.
entitled, "Stand Up, Shaping the World with Their Faith," Volume 3. It is 15 of us in that book, and that comes out at the end of the month.
Well,
And
good. Congratulations.
yes, and
Yeah, busy girl.
I'm working on four other books too
Oh
on
my
my own.
goodness.
On my own. So I didn't when I was young, I didn't value the understanding of writing and getting all in that, and I used to love it as a kid. And now it's like, okay, cool, all right. Now it's just something I just, all right, if I feel like sitting down typing, I write. So
Yeah,
yes,
writing's fun. I enjoy it. I like these writing small one-page notes out to people and stuff like that.
yeah.
Writing another book, I don't know if that's in my future, but
Oh, okay. All right. Well, just find you a ghostwriter. You'll be good. The
I
ghostwriters
did.
they're good too. Get
Yeah,
ghostwriters.
I did that with this one.
Oh, okay. All right. I know that's right. Gotta make it do what it do, right, Mr. Steve?
That's right.
All right. So it has been a pleasure and an honor of speaking with you. And you want to come back and talk about your other books as well. You know, correlate and get that on the calendar, and you can come back again, okay?
Sure.
All right.
We'll talk about that. Stay in touch.
Okay, I will, Mr. Steve, and you have a nice day, okay?
Okay, Cherise.
All right.
Pleasure being on your show.
All
Really
right.
nice.
Thank you for
And
coming.
thank you for that reading. That was phenomenal. I'd never done that before. Really,
Oh, okay. All
that
right.
was
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, Mr. Steve, you have a blessed day, okay?
you too. Thank
All
you.
right. You're
Bye
welcome.
bye.
Bye.